The sky above New Terra was painted with soft lights. Floating gardens moved slowly in the air. High above the clouds, the Vallon Tower stood tall, the most expensive wedding venue in the colony. It shimmered with crystal glass and golden panels, a place only the richest families could afford. Inside, guests in fine clothes laughed, drank, and admired the beauty around them. Everything was perfect. The food was served by hover trays. A band of robots played soft music. Waiters floated gently on anti-gravity pads, offering drinks with glowing fruits inside. Today was the wedding of Myra Vallon, daughter of the powerful Vallon family, and Dareen, a quiet young man who worked as a deep space engineer. Myra wore a dress made of silver silk that shimmered like water. Her makeup was flawless and her posture perfect. She smiled at the crowd, waved to the cameras, and walked with pride. But behind her smile was something else: worry. Not about the wedding, not about Darren, but about something much smaller. Something she believed shouldn't matter. His family. Darren's parents lived on Earth. Yes. That Earth, the old blue planet, now known for storms, dry deserts, and slow rebuilding after the great colony rush. Few rich people came from Earth now. Most wealthy families were born in space colonies, like Myra's. Earth was seen as old, dusty, and behind in time. And now, Myra's perfect wedding would be disturbed by Earth people walking in. How many are coming? She asked Darren in a low voice, standing near the window. Just my parents, my brother, and my aunt, Darren said calmly. He was wearing a simple but neat black suit. He wasn't nervous. They took the shuttle last night, Myra sighed. I told my mother it would be fine, but the guests, they don't understand Earth culture. Darren smiled. They'll be kind. They just want to meet your family, celebrate, and go home. No reason to worry. But Myra was worried. Not just because they were different, but because she feared her family would judge them. And that fear made her uncomfortable. An older woman in a golden dress came close. Myra's mother, Lady Elira Vallon. Her hair was shaped in perfect golden loops, and diamonds sparkled around her neck. They're almost here, she said with a tight smile. Should we prepare the lower entrance? Myra blinked. Why the lower entrance? So they don't walk through the main ballroom, Elira said. We don't want guests to feel confused. Earth people can be unpredictable. Darren said nothing. He just looked at her with calm eyes. I want my family to enter through the front doors, he said quietly. Like everyone else. Elira didn't argue, but her eyes showed disapproval. 10 minutes later, the grand doors of the Vallon Tower opened with a gentle hum. 4 people entered. Their steps were strong, their clothes neat but simple. No glowing jewels, no floating suits. Just strong earth-made fabric, clean boots, and clear eyes. The tall man in front had short silver hair and a kind face. Darren's father, Tomas. Beside him was his wife, with short brown curls and a warm smile. Behind them was a young man holding a small square box and a woman with a walking cane. The room grew quiet. Some guests whispered. Others looked up from their screens. A group of fashion designers near the wine bar giggled softly, pretending to fix their hair while watching the newcomers. Myra stood near the altar. Frozen. Darren walked forward and hugged his father with real joy. The room watched, unsure what to think. You look strong, Tomas said, and ready. I am, Darren said, smiling. Then he turned to his mother. You look beautiful, Mom, she laughed. Oh, stop. I've been traveling through 3 stations and 1 gravity tunnel. I probably look like a bag of bread. The older woman behind them tapped her cane. You must be the bride, she said to Myra, smiling. I'm Darren's Aunt Myra. I remember him saying you have eyes like fire. I see he was right. Myra gave a small smile. Welcome. Lady Elira came forward with a forced grin. Welcome to the Vallon wedding. Please, enjoy yourselves. The Drink station is over there. Just let the servers know if you want something simple. Tomas gave a polite nod. We're happy to be here. Thank you for your kindness. The family moved slowly into the room. Some guests moved away. Others stared. A few nodded in quiet respect, noticing something different about these people. They walked with a kind of peace, a quiet strength. Soon, the music began again. The ceremony was starting. Mira stood beside Darren at the altar. The crowd sat down. A soft voice echoed from the altar's speaker. We gather here to join two lives, two homes, and two worlds. But as Mira stood there, her eyes moved toward the front row, to Darren's family, sitting still and calm, not trying to impress anyone. Something bothered her. She had expected them to be strange, to feel out of place, to look uncomfortable. But they didn't. In fact, they looked more confident than many of the wealthy guests around them. They didn't need to prove anything. They didn't try to shine. They simply were. Mira looked at Darren. He smiled at her. Not a fake smile. A soft, honest one. She hesitated for a second. What do I really know about his world? She wondered. But there was no time to think. The ceremony had begun. The words were flowing. And something unexpected was about to happen, because soon Darren's family would open the small box they had brought, their gift to the couple. And once they did, this wedding would change forever. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. The vows were spoken. The guests clapped. The couple kissed under soft starlight, shining through the glass dome of Vallon Tower. But while others smiled and cheered, Lady Alira Vallon watched Darren's family from the corner of her eye. She still didn't trust them. They were calm, yes, polite, but too quiet. And the small cube-shaped box in Darren's brother's hands bothered her. It was old-looking, not shiny, not decorated. Just plain metal and light. After the ceremony, the guests moved into the grand hall. Large windows showed the view of floating islands and passing cargo ships in orbit. Tables were set with rare fruits, alien flowers, and glass dishes made from asteroid crystal. Mira stood near the main table, smiling and shaking hands with nobles, business leaders, and off-world officials. But her eyes kept drifting back to Darren's family, now seated together at a small round table near the edge of the hall. They didn't complain. They didn't try to move closer. They simply sat there, talking softly, laughing now and then, and waiting. Myra's best friend, Talia, leaned closer and whispered, "They really are simple, aren't they?" Myra nodded slowly. "I thought they would feel out of place. But they don't. That's the strange part." Darren joined them at that moment. He heard just enough of the whisper. But instead of getting angry, he said calmly, "Simple doesn't mean weak, Talia." Talia looked embarrassed. "Oh, I didn't mean." "It's all right," Darren said. "I know how it sounds." Then he turned to Mira. "My father wants to give our gift now, if that's all right." Mira raised an eyebrow. "Now?" He said, "It's important." She gave a small nod. "All right." Darren walked back to his family, who stood up slowly. His brother held the metal cube in both hands. The music stopped. A gentle sound from the speaker announced, "The groom's family will now present their gift." People turned. Most expected something small, a handmade sculpture perhaps, or a poem. Something traditional and quiet. But when Darren's brother, Laren, stepped forward, the air changed. He placed the cube on the center stage. Then he pressed a hidden button. The cube lit up with a low hum. A soft beam of blue light shot upward, forming a glowing map in the air. The crowd gasped. It was not a normal map. It showed Earth, not just the surface, but deep under the ground. There were tunnels, ruins, and symbols that no one recognized. Strange shapes circled the core, and several blinking points marked locations in Africa, Asia, and South America. Then another layer appeared, glowing lines of alien script. Someone in the back stood up. "That's not human writing," a voice said. A scholar from the Interstellar Language Institute came forward quickly. That's right. It's ancient, older than the first colony ships. It's a lost pre-human language. Gasps filled the room. Alira's eyes narrowed. What is this? Tomas, Darren's father, stepped forward. This is a map we found buried in a collapsed lab under the Andes Mountains, he said clearly. We recovered it with help from Earth's last archaeological teams. The cube is a key, and this data. He looked around the room. This data may lead to the next energy discovery. Something not seen before. An older noblewoman asked, "Why bring this to a wedding?" Darren's mother answered softly, "Because it's not just a gift to the couple, it's a message. That even the old Earth, the place some call useless, still holds power, still holds secrets." The crowd was silent. Then whispers spread quickly. This can't be real. It looks like alien tech. Are they saying Earth has advanced energy under the surface? Alira took a deep breath and stepped forward. May I? She asked, pointing at the cube. Laren nodded. She touched the side. The display shifted, showing energy readings, heat maps, and strange pulse patterns, things only known to top scientists. The scholar gasped. This data, it shows a type of energy we've only theorized. A dark matter pulse engine. Suddenly, the whole room was watching Darren's family. Not as simple Earth people. Not as outsiders, but as something else. As keepers of knowledge. As pioneers. Mira stood there, silent. She had expected a small gift. A family from the old world, bringing something charming but weak. But this was different. A few guests began walking over to ask questions. A noble engineer asked Tomas if he would be open to private meetings. An off-world diplomat asked if the cube's signal had been shared with the Galactic Council yet. Tomas smiled kindly but said nothing. He looked at Darren. Darren nodded. Tomas spoke again. The gift belongs to the couple. It's theirs now. If they choose to share it, that choice is theirs. Mira looked at Darren. His face was calm. He hadn't planned this to impress anyone. He hadn't hidden it either. He just never thought it mattered until now. I don't know what to say, Myra whispered. Darren looked at her. Then say nothing, just listen. She did. For the first time, Mira stood quietly while the crowd turned toward the family she once thought was simple. She saw how the others spoke to them with interest, not pity. With respect, not jokes. And something inside her started to shift. Not everything. Not yet, but something. The music started again, but this time, the dance floor remained empty. Everyone was too busy watching the people from Earth. The family who had arrived with nothing shiny, but brought the future in their hands. The wedding celebration had changed. At first, everyone came to see the rich Valen family and their perfect daughter, Mira. The cameras, the attention, and the gossip had all been about her. But now, something new was happening. People surrounded Darren's family, eager to learn more about the mysterious cube they had gifted. The glowing projection hovered in the air, still showing the map of ancient tunnels under Earth. Strange symbols moved slowly across it, and the soft hum of unknown technology filled the air. Even the most serious scientists at the event couldn't stop staring. I have never seen a live alien script response, one of them said. Another leaned closer to Tomas, Darren's father. Do you know how this cube works? Tomas smiled politely. We know just enough to be careful. That answer made them more curious. Mira watched from the main table, a glass of sparkling juice in her hand. Her fingers tapped lightly against the tablecloth. She wasn't smiling anymore. Not because she was angry, she wasn't sure how to feel. For her whole life, she had been told that Earth was slow, poor, and falling behind. She had believed it. Everyone she knew believed it. But now, in front of all these important people, Earth had become the center of attention. And it wasn't because of fashion, money, or family name. It was because of knowledge. Real knowledge. Ancient. Power. "What exactly is that cube?" she finally asked, turning to Darren. He sat beside her, calm as always. "It's part of an old network," he said. "Buried deep under Earth. My family didn't discover it alone. They worked with teams across the planet. The government didn't care much at first, so we worked in secret." Mira raised an eyebrow. "So your family kept a scientific treasure hidden?" Darren shook his head. "We protected it. Not everyone on Earth is greedy. Some people still believe in careful study." "But you brought it here, to a wedding," she said. He looked her in the eyes. "Because this wedding is not just about love. It's about two worlds joining. Yours and mine." Mira didn't answer. At the far end of the hall, Lady Elira Valen was having a quiet talk with two political guests. She looked upset. Her voice was low but sharp. "How did this happen?" she whispered. "Why did no one tell us his family had access to alien data?" One of the men shrugged. "They're Earthborn. The council didn't think they were important. They're making us look unprepared," she said, frowning. "That box has more value than everything on this tower." Back near the gift display, Laren, Darren's younger brother, explained more details to a group of curious engineers. "The map shows 7 deep locations," he said. "We only explored one fully. Inside we found machines with crystal parts and living energy signatures. But we didn't take them. We sealed the place again." A young scientist asked, "Why not report it to the Interplanetary Science Union?" Laren replied, "We did. They laughed. Called us Earth dust diggers. That's what they always call us." The scientist's face turned red. That was a mistake. One by one, the guests began to realize that Earth, the place they had ignored for so long, still had secrets, still had value, still had power. And Darren's family had been guarding that power. Mira stood up and walked to the window, outside. The stars moved slowly across the dark sky. The tower floated above New Terra's bright lights. Her reflection in the glass looked calm, but her thoughts were stormy. Was I wrong? She wondered. Did I judge too fast? Her friend Talia came to stand beside her. "You don't look happy." "I don't know what I look like," Mira said. "Everything I thought I knew is changing." Talia nodded. "I get it. I was surprised, too. I thought Earth families only knew farms and old tech." Mira laughed a little. "So did I." Talia gave her a soft smile. "You still look beautiful in that dress, just a little less proud." Mira didn't argue. Later, as the meal was served, Lady Elira made a formal announcement. "Let us give thanks to both families," she said, raising her glass, "for coming together in peace, and for surprising us in ways we didn't expect." Her voice sounded sweet, but there was a hint of warning under the words. Thomas stood and replied, "We are honored, and we believe respect should be earned, not given by status." Some people clapped. Others stayed quiet. The tension was growing. After dessert, Darren's Aunt Nira stood up with her cane. She walked slowly to Myra and said with a smile, "You look like someone who's used to being the sun in the room. But let me tell you something." "Child," Myra raised her eyes. Nira's voice became soft and kind. "Sometimes the stars are quiet, but they've been burning longer than the sun. Don't ignore them." Then she walked away, leaving Mira alone with her thoughts. The guests were still talking, but the mood had shifted. No one was laughing at Darren's family now. They were listening to them, respecting them. And Mira, who had once thought she was marrying a simple man from a small family, now realized she didn't know him as well as she thought. That night, long after the music stopped and the guests began to leave, Darren stood alone on the balcony. He looked up at the stars, quiet and deep in thought. Mira walked up behind him. "I need to ask you something," she said. He turned to her. "Did you bring that cube to show off?" He shook his head. "No, I brought it because you said our two families should know each other. That box is part of my family's story. And what if my mother thinks you're trying to take power away from her? Darren smiled a little. Then maybe she should ask herself why she feels so weak around. The truth. Mira stared at him. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes she hadn't noticed before. He wasn't just a kind man. He was strong, quiet, but strong. And his family, the ones she had once sneered at, were not weak at all. They were. The ones who had kept something precious safe, something no one else even believed in. And they had done it without fame, without glory, without asking for praise. Suddenly, Mira didn't feel like the most powerful person in the room anymore. And something deep inside her didn't like that. But another part of her, the wiser part, whispered that maybe it was time to learn. The sun of New Terra began to rise slowly, casting soft golden light into the great hall of Valen Tower. Most of the guests had already left. Only a few remained, talking in quiet corners, still curious about the strange gift from Earth. But inside Mira's heart, nothing felt quiet. She sat alone at a small table, watching the silver cube on display, now dim but still humming gently. It was as if it was alive, waiting for someone to unlock its secrets. That cube had changed everything. It had changed the wedding. It had changed how people looked at Darren. And most of all, it had changed how she looked at herself. Darren walked over and sat beside her. Couldn't sleep? He asked softly. No, Mira said. Too many thoughts. He nodded. Same. There was a long pause between them. Outside the window, stars still blinked over the floating towers. Mira turned toward him. Why didn't you ever tell me about the cube? Or the ruins, or your family's work? I did, Darren said. You just didn't ask enough to hear it. Mira looked away. She knew he was right. In all their talks before the wedding, she always asked about his job, his travels, or his plans, but never about where he came from. Never about the people who raised him. And never about Earth. I thought Earth was just a forgotten place, she said. I didn't know it still mattered, Darren smiled gently. That's what most people believe, but Earth is still our root. It still holds truths no colony has touched. He leaned back in his chair and looked at the ceiling, where tiny lights sparkled like a fake sky. My grandfather used to say, the stars may shine above us, but the soil teaches us who we are. Mira nodded slowly. Your family. They're different. Yes, Darren said. But not because of what they know, because of how they carry it. Mira looked at him again. What do you mean? They found power, Darren said. But they didn't use it to rise in status. They didn't sell it to the highest bidder. They chose to keep learning, to protect it. They believe that knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous. At that moment, Lady Elira Valen entered the hall. She walked with perfect posture, her long dress floating behind her like a wave. Her face was calm, but Mira knew that calm well. It meant anger hidden under grace. She walked straight to Darren. I would like to speak with you, alone. Mira opened her mouth to protest, but Darren nodded. They stepped aside, just out of earshot. Lira kept her voice low. Your family's gift has caused a stir. Some guests believe you planned this to raise your status. I didn't, Darren said simply. You must understand, she continued. The Valen name is powerful. We cannot have unexpected surprises. If the council starts asking questions, or if this gift brings political attention, our name will be pulled into it. Darren looked her in the eyes. Then maybe your name needs to stand beside something real, for once. Elira narrowed her eyes. You think I don't respect knowledge? I built this family's power through it. No. Darren replied, you built your power through image. But my family built something that lasts. She looked at him for a long time, then said, be careful how you speak, Darren. You're still marrying my daughter. Darren didn't blink. Maybe. Elira turned and left the hall. Myra had watched their talk from afar. She didn't need To hear the words to know something had changed. When Darren returned to her side, she asked, "What did she say?" "She's worried about her reputation," he said. "Not ours." Mira stood up. "Come with me." They walked out of the hall and into a private garden at the top of the tower. Floating lights moved among the trees. A soft wind blew from the climate dome above. Mira stopped near a tall blue flower and turned to face him. "I need to say something." Darren nodded. "I judged your family," she said. "I thought they were small because they had no title. I thought they were weak because they didn't show off. But now I see. They're stronger than most people I know." Darren stayed quiet, letting her speak. "I grew up thinking respect came from money, fashion, or control. But your family has something better, real strength, real knowledge, real peace." She paused, "And I don't know if I deserve to stand beside that." Darren looked at her gently. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest." She took a deep breath. "Then I will be. I want to learn. I don't want to just wear pretty clothes and smile for cameras. I want to understand where you come from. I want to walk on real earth soil. I want to see the ruins myself. I want to help protect them." Darren smiled. "Then let's do it together." Behind them, someone cleared their throat. It was Tomas, Darren's father. He stepped into the garden with a small box in his hands. "Different from the cube. I believe this belongs to you both," he said. He opened the box, revealing a smooth stone tablet with carved symbols. Unlike the glowing cube, this artifact looked ancient and quiet. "It's part of the same site," Thomas said. "But this one speaks to the heart, not the mind." He handed it to Mira. The stone felt warm in her hands. "What does it say?" she asked. Tomas smiled. "We haven't fully translated it. But one line is clear. Those who forget the dust lose the stars." Mira stared at the stone, her fingers moving over the carvings. In that moment, she understood. This wedding had never been about rich clothes, floating castles, or showing off status. It was about two lives meeting in truth. Two families, one of pride, one of wisdom. And now they had a choice. To walk forward together or let fear divide them. She looked up at Darren, her eyes clear. "I choose the stars, but I will never forget the dust." Morning light touched the towers of New Terra as the city came to life again. But inside Valen Tower, the celebration had turned quiet. The wedding party was over, but the storm inside was just beginning. Inside one of the private meeting rooms, Lady Elira Valen sat at a long glass table. Her eyes were sharp, her fingers tapping slowly. She was not used to surprises, and she hated feeling unprepared. The cube, the data, the Earth family, it had all stolen attention away from her daughter's wedding. Across the table sat Thomas, Laren, and Darren. They were polite but not nervous. They sat like people who had nothing to hide. "Let's be direct," Elira said. "This discovery of yours, this alien data, it's valuable. I want to help manage it." Darren blinked. "Manage it?" "Yes, you don't have experience with the Galactic Council. I do, if we release this data. In the wrong way, others might claim it. Your family will be forgotten. With my name behind it, the Valen name, we can make sure it stays protected and shared with the right people." Tomas gave a small smile. "And who decides the right people?" Elira paused. "We do, together, as family." Laren leaned forward. "You didn't care about Earth yesterday, but now you want to represent it?" She frowned. "I didn't know what you were hiding." "We weren't hiding anything," Tomas said calmly. "We were just waiting for the right time." Elira stood up. This gift was not just science, it was politics. "You've turned a wedding into a power shift," Darren finally spoke. "That was never my goal. I married Mira because I love her. But I won't pretend my family is small anymore just to make your name look big." Just then Mira entered the room. She had heard enough. Her voice was steady. "Mother," she said, "you need to stop." Elira turned to her, surprised. "Stop what?" "Stop trying to control something you don't understand," Mira said. "They're not asking for fame, you are. This data belongs to both sides, and it should be shared with honesty, not fear." Elira looked at her daughter for a long time. "Be careful, Mira. You're still young. You don't know how this galaxy works." Mira stepped forward. "Then maybe the galaxy needs to change." Elira said nothing. She walked out of the room, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. For a moment, the silence was heavy. Thomas looked at Mira. "That wasn't easy," she nodded. "But it was right." Laren placed the cube back into its protective case. "We'll be heading back to Earth soon," he said. "We have work to continue." Dareen looked at him. "Take me with you." Everyone turned to him. "I want to see it again," Darren said. "I want Mira to see it too." Mira's eyes widened. "You mean the ruins?" "Yes," he said. "The real place, not just the cube. The original tunnels. The deep chamber. Everything." Mira nodded slowly. "I'll come." Later that day, they boarded a quiet ship headed for Earth. It was not a luxury vessel. It didn't have smooth music or golden lights. It was made for travel, not comfort. But Mira didn't mind. She was no longer thinking about dresses or gold. She was thinking about truth. The journey to Earth took 3 days through folded space. When they arrived, the sight from the window took her breath away. The planet looked dusty, yes. Parts of it were covered in dry clouds and smoke from old fires. But beneath that, she saw green patches, silver rivers, and quiet mountains. The heart of something real. They landed near the Andes Mountains. From there, it took 2 hours by ground transport to reach the excavation site. It was hidden inside a rocky valley guarded by solar towers and scan drones. The air was dry but fresh. No floating cities here. Just wind, stone, and silence. Laren led the group to a metal door set into the ground. He placed his palm on the panel. The door opened. With a soft hiss, "We go down from here," he said. Mira held Darren's hand as they moved through the tunnels. The walls were lined with smooth black stone, marked with glowing symbols. They passed old machines, round, silent, covered in dust. At the end of the passage was a large circular room. This was the chamber shown in the cube's projection. In the center of the room stood a tall crystal column. Around it, 7 small pedestals held stone tablets. "This is where we found the cube," Thomas said. "And this is where the energy reacts." He pressed a small control on his bracelet. Room lit up. The crystal began to glow. The walls pulsed with soft light, and the symbols moved like rivers of fire. Mira stepped closer. She felt something. Not fear, not excitement. Connection. It was as if the room was alive. "Why does this exist?" she asked. Thomas replied, "We believe an ancient race left this behind. They knew Earth was special. They planted these places to store knowledge. Not weapons, not machines. Just understanding." Mira turned to Darren. "And your family has been keeping this secret all this time?" He nodded. "Not to keep it hidden, but to keep it safe." She took a deep breath. "Then it's time to share it the right way." The next day, Mira stood in front of a small camera inside the research tent. A live stream was ready. She spoke clearly. "My name is Mira Valen. I was raised in luxury. I believed Earth was weak. I was wrong. Today, I stand with my husband's family, and I ask the galaxy to look again. Not at the stars, but at where we began. Earth is not finished. It is only beginning." The feed spread across the colonies. Some laughed. Some listened, but some changed. The video of Myra's speech spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. In just a few hours, news channels from Mars to Titan picked it up. Some called her speech brave. Others called it foolish. But one thing was clear. She had turned the spotlight toward Earth. And now, Powerful people were watching. Inside the deep valley near the Andes, Darren's family continued their research. Scientists from old Earth universities had arrived to study the ruins. The crystal chamber was still active, glowing gently under the mountain rock. But now it was guarded, day and night. Mira stood on a hill, watching the sun rise over the valley. Darren walked up beside her, holding 2 cups of hot leaf brew. "You've been quiet since the message went out," he said. She took a sip and nodded. "I didn't expect so many people to care." "They care because you told the truth," she smiled faintly. "Not everyone sees it that way." He tilted his head. "You got messages?" She handed him a small holo device. The screen showed dozens of messages. Some were polite. Others were angry. Some came from scientists who wanted access. Others came from rich families warning her to stay quiet. One message stood out. It was from the Galactic Energy Commission, a powerful group that controlled star fuel and fusion tech across colonies. They had never cared about Earth, but now they wanted to visit the site. Darren read the message. His face grew serious. "They want a private meeting." "They want control," Mira said. "And they're sending someone." Back in the research tent, Thomas, Laren, and other scientists were preparing for the visit. The ruins were kept under low light. The energy field was stable. The cube was locked away in a secure box. 3 hours later, a sleek black ship landed. Near the site. It was silent, smooth, and made from military-grade metal, the kind used by elite government units. A small ramp lowered, and a group of people walked out in dark suits, followed by one woman in a sharp silver coat. Her name was Vexa Thorne, and she was a lead inspector for the Energy Commission. She smiled as she entered the camp, but the smile was cold. "I come in peace," she said, "but I do not come without interest." Tomas greeted her with a nod. "Welcome to Earth." "I've never been here before," she said, looking around. "Strange. I thought it would feel smaller." Mira stepped forward. "You asked too. Speak, so speak." Vexa walked toward the crystal chamber entrance. "We watched your message, Miss Valen. It made a lot of people nervous. You've shown something the galaxy wasn't ready for." "We didn't hide anything," Darren said. "No," Vexa replied. "But you didn't ask permission either." Tomas raised an eyebrow. "We didn't know knowledge needed permission." Vexa turned slowly. "Let me be clear. The energy in this ruin could power colonies for centuries. If the wrong people get their hands on it, wars will follow. The Commission wants to help manage it." "Manage?" Liren said. "Or control?" Vexa's smile faded. "If this power is real, it cannot stay under one family's hands." "That's not how the galaxy works." Mira stepped forward. "Maybe. The galaxy needs to work differently." Vexa faced her. "I understand your dream, Mira, but dreams don't protect people. Systems do. We want to build a secure vault around this place. Place it under Commission care. We will allow your family to remain as observers." Tomas shook his head. "We are not observers. We are the ones who found it, protected it, and studied it." "Then be wise," Vexa said. "Work with us, or we will report this site as an unregistered danger. That gives us full legal right to seize it." The tension in the room grew thick. Darren stepped forward. "You want to take it?" "We want to protect it," Vexa said. "With weapons?" Mira asked. "If needed," she replied. "I have 5 armed guards on that ship. I didn't come here to fight, but I will not leave empty-handed." Mira turned to Tomas. "What do we do?" He looked calm. "We hold our ground," Tomas said. But Vexa was not done. She took out a small disc and placed it on the table. A hologram appeared. It showed a Galactic Council order, signed and dated. "This gives us full right to seize any energy source that poses risk to the colonies," she said. "The Council has signed it." Darren read the document. His hands tightened. They've already decided, he said. They never cared what Earth had. They only care now because they're afraid we might use it. Vexa nodded. You're not wrong. That's how power works. Mira stepped forward. Then we'll show them something else. Vexa tilted her head. Like what? Something Earth has that you don't, Mira said. Honor. She turned and walked out of the tent. Darren followed. Then Tomas. Then Laren. The rest of the scientists stopped what they were doing and joined them. Vexa was left alone in the tent. The cube box untouched dot outside. The Earth team formed a circle near the hill. They will come back, Tomas said. Stronger, with more laws, maybe weapons. Then we prepare, Darren said. No, Myra replied. We speak first, to the people. That evening, Mira made another video. This time, from the hilltop with the glowing crystal behind her, she spoke softly, clearly. The Galactic Commission has arrived. They want to take what Earth has kept safe for years. We are not against peace. But we will not give up the last legacy of our world. Not without truth. Not without choice. We ask the galaxy, support us or stay silent. But we will not be pushed aside again. The message spread fast. This time, something different happened. Voices began to rise, not from rich colonies, but from small outposts, farm stations, old Earth cities, and frontier planets. Messages flooded in. We stand with Earth. Truth before control. No more silence. Even some scientists on New Terra spoke out in public. Mira stood with Darren under the stars that night, watching the messages appear on the screen. We started something, she said. Darren nodded. Now we protect it. Behind them, the cube pulsed with soft blue light, not in fear, not in anger, but with hope. The galaxy watched closely. Mira's new message had reached colonies near Jupiter, Mars domes, asteroid miners, even small ships flying through the void. People were talking, not about wealth, not about control, but about Earth. Something was changing. In the Crystal Valley, Darren's family and the scientists worked with care. The cube remained safe. No one touched it without permission. They studied the symbols inside the ruins and discovered that the energy it held could power not just colonies, but even jump gates between star systems far beyond what fusion had done before. Tomas called it the seed of stars. But they all knew one thing: power attracts danger. That morning, a storm gathered in the sky. Not rain, not thunder, but ships. 4 dark Galactic Commission cruisers appeared above the Andes, silent and heavy in the air. Their long shadows crossed the valley. The lead ship opened a channel. This is Director Vexa Thorne. By order of the Galactic Council, this site is now under protection. Please clear the area peacefully. Mira stood in front of the research tent, calm and strong. You mean under control, she said. We are not leaving, Vexa replied. Do not resist. We have the right. Tomas stepped beside Mira. You may have paper, but we have people. And they did. Across the hills, groups of humans from nearby towns arrived. Some were farmers. Others were old tech workers. A few brought basic drones and shield gear. They didn't have weapons. They had numbers and resolve. Word had spread, and Earth had awakened. A small outpost on Mars hacked into the Commission's public feed and began streaming the entire standoff. Soon, billions across the galaxy were watching. Live. Inside the ship, Vexa frowned. This wasn't supposed to happen. She wanted to seize power quietly. Now the galaxy watched her every move. Send the ground team, she ordered. A group of armored peace officers landed near the site. They carried stun staffs and energy nets. But as they walked closer, they saw something strange. The people in front of them did not back away. Instead, they stood firm. Mira, Darren, Tomas, Laren, and dozens more. No threats. No shouting. Just unshakable unity. A young officer stepped forward. His helmet hid his face, but his voice shook a little. "We were told to secure the ruin." Mira looked at him and said, "You are welcome to study it with us, but not to take it." The officer paused. "I grew up on Earth. My mother told stories about these lands. I never thought I'd be here." Darren nodded. "Then help us protect it, not just for Earth, for everyone." The officer stepped back. Then, quietly, he turned off his weapon. The others followed. From the ship, Vexa watched in disbelief. Her ground team had refused her orders. Her plan had failed. She slammed her fist against the console. "We'll report this to the council." She hissed, but before she could cut the feed, the main console lit up. A message came through, not from Earth, but from Deep Space. It was the Unity Council, a group of neutral systems that had stayed silent for decades. Their symbol flickered on screen. "This is Unity Council," the voice said. "We support the right of Earth to study and guard its legacy. Any attack against them will be seen as an attack on knowledge and peace." Other voices followed. An outpost from the Centauri belt, a science ship near the gas planet Aurelis. Even an old colony that had left the council years ago. One by one, they stood beside Earth. Back on the ground, Mira held Darren's hand. Her eyes were full of emotion, but her voice stayed steady. "We didn't ask for power. We didn't plan to fight. We only wanted truth." Tomas raised the cube in his hands. "This belongs to all who protect it, not those who control it." The energy from the cube pulsed bright blue, brighter than ever before. The crystal ruins shimmered with light, as if responding to Earth's spirit. Suddenly, the main crystal surface shifted. New symbols appeared. The ground shook slightly. Scientists ran forward with scanners, amazed. "It's unlocking," Laren shouted. "The structure is responding to human voice patterns." The cube released a small beam into the sky. It wasn't a weapon. It was a signal. Darren stared up. "What is it calling?" The beam passed through clouds and into space, carrying a code. A deep hum followed, like ancient voices echoing through time. Hours passed. The Galactic Commission ship slowly backed away. Vexa, defeated, returned to her cruiser. She said nothing to the cameras. Her silence was the sound of lost control. That night, under the stars, Mira stood at the edge of the valley. She looked up at the sky. "It's over," she said. "No." Darren replied, "It's just beginning." 1 month later, the ruins had become a shared science site. Earth welcomed scientists from across the galaxy, under the rule that no one could own the cube or its energy. Mira, once a rich bride with shallow pride, had become a symbol of Earth's hope. She gave speeches not in dresses of crystal, but in simple explorer's clothes. Darren's family continued their work, training young minds from Earth and beyond. The cube now sat inside a peaceful dome, open to learning, not greed. Ships from distant colonies visited Earth, not for conquest, but for wisdom. And among the ruins, new lights blinked on. Ancient tech began to wake. It spoke in tones no one had heard before, but they were learning. One message repeated more than others. "Humanity, you were forgotten, now remembered. You were scattered, now united. The seed has returned to its soil." Mira smiled as she walked through the dome one evening. A young girl asked her, "Why did you fight back even when you could have lost everything?" Mira looked down and said softly, "Because sometimes the simple people are the ones who carry the deepest strength, and sometimes Earth reminds the stars who we really are."